Who? Are you getting the jingles? I'm not sure if it's picking up the jingles. It's jingly.
Hey, it's time for
Not they're jingly is the thing. In addition to being fluffy, trying to get the jingles in there. I'm not sure if that's getting picked up, but yep, got the jingles.
Amazing.
Got the Catboy dev going on. I here's the thing. I know I have the whole maid outfit. I just did not have enough time to get it on. I didn't. I was doing stuff. I was taking care of the dog. I was trying to feed me, and I didn't have enough time to like put on my entire maid outfit. So we've got the ears. That's gonna have to be good enough. Let's give the dog a treat because he's currently poking me a lot. So let's do that. My treat. Praise. He dropped it. Oh no. It recovered. We recovered. He dropped it, but we recovered. Indeed. We got it. Everything's good. He got the treat. Now we're all set. You can see it there on the ground. He's working his way through it. How's it going, everybody? My name is Endeavorance. It is Friday, October 31st. I know that because I've got cat ears on. That makes it a little easier. I kind of know what day it is because I'm wearing cat ears. These are the cat ears of it's October 31st is what it is. Pretty fly for a comp sci. Really fucking great name. Says first time at a dev stream. What are these usually like? This. You're experiencing it. It's basically this. I talk about like whatever is on my mind. I have like a list of things I'm going to talk about at some point. I usually don't get to them because I forget to look at this list. And then I talk about whatever, and then chat distracts me, and then I rant about things that chat reminded me of, but didn't actually ask me to rant about. And then chat sits there politely while I rant. And then every once in a while, I snuggle the dog. That's the stream. So if that sounds good to you, then you're in the right place. How's it going, everybody? How's it going? God, these are so jingly. I know you probably can't hear them as much as I can, but every movement, every minute movement of my head is accompanied by a jingle jangle. And we'll see how long I can deal with that before it drives me up the fucking wall. Also, that area rug is sick as hell. Thank you. There's pretty good lore behind it too. So this rug that's behind me, which is sort of like a steampunk tabletop dice sword nerd rug. It was the winner of a rug competition. We did a tournament. So we had a stream goal back before I had like furniture and a rug in here to basically make it so that my studio was not desolate. And one of those goals was to get a rug. And when we raised enough money for a rug, we did a tournament where I just like went out and found a bunch of rug designs, and the chat actually voted in a full ass bracket. Like I think it was like a 16 entry bracket at least. And this is the rug that won the bracket. It was a whole thing. And now I've had it for like a couple years, and I very, very, very much like it. It's not a cheat says, finally, a worthy stream. Thank you. I do what I can to make a stream that's not the worst. Here's my problem, is whenever I watch a stream, within a few minutes, I'm like, there's nothing for me here. I don't know what to do with myself. And so the streams that I try to make are streams in which even if you have no interest in what's going on right now, at the very least, you can roll dice and look at a dog. You know, if you need to zone out while I'm rambling about some random esoteric tech bullshit that no one but me and 2 other people on the entire planet cares about, at least there's a dog there
Going up.
in the corner. So that's good. I can hydrate. Your stream is sentient. Truly is. I work hard to make sure that everything that I use is sentient, because that way I can bend them to my will. And my will is supreme. It's really good. I have a good will. I can roll dice and look a dog and listen. So I'm
Going
told.
up.
You have a lot of talents. You're really good at this. No costume for spooky day. What are you talking about? I am a cat girl. Is that not obvious? Jingle, jingle. Jingle, jingle, I've got cat ears. And you're going to come into my stream, and you're going to just hit me with that accusation that I'm not wearing a costume. I want you to think about what you've done. I want you to think about the slander you put out here today. I want you to think about how much it's going to take for me to have to go restore my good name on the internet. Hello, former future frog. What is going on? Your ears are sentient? They are, actually. I put these on because they speak to me. It's like having a cursed sword, only instead of a cursed sword telling me to kill people, it's cat ears telling me to go, ooh, woo. Excuse me. He's wrecking it. Wait, why is he wrecking it? Are you trying to flatten? Hold on, I can help you with that, bud. He's trying to flatten the rug. I can help. What? We were just getting compliments on this rug, buddy. What are you doing? Are you like this? How are you going?
Going up.
There. He's going to war with the rug. He just said, yo, fuck this rug. He straight up said, fuck this rug. This dog not infrequently will do the fuck your couch meme. I'll be like on the couch and I'm like, it's the end of the day. I'm tired. I've already tried to play with this dog. He's gotten everything he could possibly ask for and it's still not enough. And he'll get up on the couch and just destroy it. He'll just wreck everything. He'll rip all the pillows off, not aggressively. It's sort of like an overtime kind of a thing. He's like, I'm just denning. I'm just pawing at stuff. I'm just messing with the blankets and the pillows. And like you look away for a bit and when you look back, all of the cushions are off of the couch and he's just standing there looking very accomplished. And that's what happens most nights. He's not a destructive animal. He just knows how to get my attention by causing trouble. His other favorite thing is he's learned that if he goes and pokes his nose into the utility closet, which has like pretty easy access doors for the dog. It's the kind of doors that are like closet doors that like if a dog pokes his snoot into the middle, they'll just like part for him. So he'll go and poke his snoot into the utility closet doors to open them slightly. And I obviously don't want him rooting around in the utility closet where there's like electrical shit. And so I'm like, hey, get away from that. But he knows now that if he goes and pokes that, he gets my attention. And so now he just goes, he doesn't want to go in there. He just wants to get my attention. So he messes with the doors to be like, oh, I'm messing with the doors. Hello, Lilith. Everybody say hi to Lilith. Let me give you a shout out. Lilith Knox VT. Everybody say hi to Lilith. Welcome in. How's it going? Lilith, for those who are not aware, is the amazing artist behind a lot of the stuff that I use for art, but also almost all, if not literally all, of my custom emotes. So, hi, Lilith. Welcome in. No sniffing, to be clear. Wrecking furniture is what my smallest kid does. I don't think you need to clarify that your child is not sniffing things. I'm truly of the belief that your child is going around sniffing stuff, which does sound like very childlike behavior. Mine sits in my lap, aggressively presses his body against me, and then boots at me like it's my fault my knee is poking him in the butt. My brother's unfortunately late dog also was similarly the kind of dog that like wanted to be inside of you, not in a gross sex way, but in like a I'm trying to snuggle up against you and that's not close enough. I need to vibrate through your skin and be within you. And so I used to every once in a while go and dog sit this dog, and he didn't have a bond with me necessarily. Like, he was bonded to my brother, obviously. I'm sitting there and this dog is like trying to lean further and further into me, and then forgets that it's not his dad. He like turns and like looks, like turns his head and sees that it's me, and he's like, oh, you'll do, and just continues leaning in, like looks disappointed but continues to want to just lean into you. He was a good dog. He was a very, very anxious dog though. Would not drink from his water bowl if it was too close to his food. Can't have that. Can't be doing that. That's ridiculous. One time I went to go dog sit him for like a week, and the instructions that were left to me for all of the idiosyncrasies of this dog were multiple pages of like all the things I had to do to handle this dog's insane levels of anxiety. And honestly, I cannot blame the dog. I'm the same way. So, very fair. He saw the bald and went, sure, good enough. Looks disappointed but continues to lean into you. Describe some of my relationships in my 20s. Ooh! My goodness. In college, I already started the story, so I'm going to commit to it. In college, a girlfriend of mine slept with me and then broke up with me the next morning. And I will never forget the way she looked at me in the eyes and said, how could you not see this coming? Like, it was the night before. What? Everything seemed fine. What? I thought we were doing pretty okay. Never gonna forget that. So yeah, looks disappointed, but deals with it anyway. It was a goodbye wrestle. I guess. I don't know. It was. Who starts a day, let alone a conversation like that? Yeah, it was like literally the next morning. It just happened. I don't exactly remember the spark, like what exactly triggered it, but like she was very clearly on her way out. Like I think she essentially just like left me for another dude, which happened with every single relationship I've ever been in. But waited until that morning and didn't really signal anything was going on. I guess that's the Halloween of it all, right? Like that's the scary part about Halloween, is reminiscing about confusing interactions from past lovers on stream. That's the really scary part about Halloween. The morning after, like literally the next morning. Yeah, like before breakfast the next morning. Ghosts of relationships past. It's a lot. There's a lot of ghosts in my past relationships, which is they're best left as ghosts. I'll just leave it at that. Some of the ghosts are funny, some of them are deeply traumatic, and some of them are like were traumatic but are kind of funny in hindsight, but are still also the kind of funny that's like, haha, I now understand why I spend so much money on therapy. I stepped out. What did I miss? Says Nitro Nick. Just talking about me being broken up with in the past. It happens. I was broken up with, let's see, I was dumped for a guy that used to be a teacher's aide in a class I took in high school, but we were in college at that point. I was dumped by dumped for a dude who was in jail and named himself Seven after the 7 deadly sins. My girlfriend at the time, I guess, thought that he had a lot more going on in his life. In jail. Oh, he was in jail because he had a threesome with 2 underage girls also. So I was left for that guy. That was an interesting experience, I will say. It's pretty whack what people do with their free will. For example, that guy had illegal relations, non-consensual relations, because you cannot consent underage, with multiple underage girls, and went to jail, and then was like, I'm gonna name myself 7 after the 7 deadly sins. And then met my girlfriend, I think over MySpace, like they were messaging over MySpace while he was in prison or something. And she like fell in love with him. I assume it's one of those things. I know this is like a phenomenon where people like fall in love with somebody in jail. Like you're like a sort of like a pseudo pen pal kind of thing, and then you like fall in love with them or something. I don't exactly know why that's such a frequent phenomenon. What is that? Is that called something? Is there a name for falling in love with someone in jail? Oh, hey. Prison letters and why women love men in prison. I don't know what to make of this website. I don't know how trustworthy this is, but I'm curious. His hybristophilia. Is that what it's called? Oh, hey, hybristophilia. You're right. You are correct. Matt Stormcrow, you are correct. It is hybristophilia. When it comes to having a strong attraction to societal deviant... Oh, sorry. Myth. Women must be twisted to fall in love with prisoners. When it comes to having a strong attraction to societal deviants, criminals, prisoners, hybristophilia comes to mind. This is a paraphilia where people are aroused by people who have committed outrageous acts such as cheating and crimes, including rape and murder. The thing that makes this so interesting is that it's different for everyone. Some are more passive about it, while others are aggressive. This is when passive hybristophilia is when someone is drawn to criminals, but they do not act on it. Aggressive is when they are men and women who proactively help the criminal that they are attracted to. Like Bonnie and Clyde are the perfect example. It is a mixture of hybristophilia, the desire for excitement from their mundane lives, the long-distance passion, and the fantasy of it all that makes people drawn to that lifestyle. In fact, there are over 40 different websites that cater to prisoner dating, such as meetaninmate.com. Wow. Okay. We're going down a rabbit hole, y'all. We're going down a rabbit hole. Welcome to the rabbit hole stream. Meetaninmate.com. Lady inmates, male inmates, listen inmate, FAQ. What if the number is next to the prisoner's name? That's their Department of Corrections number. You must include this next to the prisoner's name when writing them a letter, or it will not be delivered. Can I send photos? You can send Polaroid. Oh, Polaroids are not allowed. Damn it. This is a lot. Featured men. Damn. Okay. I hate this. This is extremely exploitative. And like, I'm sure that the people who are on this site are like not upset about having like stuff on the internet so that people can find them and send them shit for free. I'm sure like that's a nice boon for them. I hate this. I hate that I'm looking at it, and I'm going to stop looking at it now. Feels kind of illegal. A lot of things feel kind of illegal, but they're not. Companies own water, like rivers. Corporations can own residential houses. Stephen Miller is allowed to breathe? Feels illegal. There's the jump scare for Halloween. Yeah, that was the scariest part of this stream, everybody. I'm very, very sorry for anybody who jumped into this stream and wasn't expecting a jump scare. But you were jump scared by a prison industrial social fabric that has been torn to shreds in this country. So that's the real jump scare.
Wait. Look who just subscribed.
Ada Scout at 9 months. What are we going to get here? There's a die on my face. 99. Perfect. Okay, it says, gotta run. Have fun, y'all. Bye-bye. Thanks for stopping through. Let me give you a shout out as well. Shout out, okay-ish, AF. Wonderful, wonderful people. Good soup. Feels like a morale thing. I could see, look, if I was in prison and I had like nothing else, I don't know anything about prison. I have not been in prison much. If I was a prison boy, I could see wanting to be able to have like something to look forward to in terms of like having a pen pal for sure. Framing it as a dating situation that's a lot.
Hey,
that's a lot. I don't want that. Thank you. I can hydrate. I don't even like it when people see like content stuff as a dating thing. Like, it's really fucking weird how many people think that like being a person commenting on someone's videos is equivalent to having some form of relationship. Nope. Nope. And what's really fucking strange is I'm now at the point with some social media sites where people don't think that I'm reading the comments, I assume. And so they're writing comments about me presented to other commenters. Like I just hit my mic. Like they'll ask other people things about me in the comments. For example, recently someone just left a comment on a thing I posted just saying, "Is he single?" And it's like, who are you asking? How is that your business? And what? And also, I'm right here. Imagine walking into someone's house and just saying a thing at them, about them, but not to them. It's very weird. AO3 fanfiction, but in the comments. That is one thing that I don't think has happened yet. I'm pretty sure fanfiction has not happened about me yet. I also haven't looked too much. Yeah. I've had people do that to me in real life, says Bronny. First of all, hi, Bronny. How's it going? Second of all, oof. That's a lot. So they walked up to you and they were like, is he single? While looking at you in the eyes? They just walked up and said, is he single? Is Flynn single? Flynn's snoozle. He's a snooze boy. I did once. I was walking the dog and this guy had another dog with him and was like, hey, is that a girl dog? I need to find a girl dog for my boy dog so that he can fuck. And I'm like, no, this is not a girl dog. This is a boy dog. I'm very sorry. I don't know how to respond to this, even if it was a girl dog. I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to do that, is the thing. I wish people would just not hit me with the most out-of-pocket shit imaginable. Sometimes I wonder, like, I'm out and about, right? And someone starts talking at me, and I get a little flustered sometimes. I'll try to respond as coherently as I can, having not at all been ready for a social interaction. If it's something along the lines of like, how are you doing? Or like, hey, how's it going? I can muster a response that makes some sense. The problem is, we're not there anymore. We're in the whatever the fuck timeline this is, and people will just walk by me and be like, damn, sky's purple again. And I'm like, what? What? They'll just say random shit. I already have to put in extra effort to be able to respond, but I'm putting in extra effort to have to respond.
Okay, that's
to
a lot of subscriptions that you just gifted.
Whoa!
So everyone, go thank the
Nefarious
person
Yawn,
whose name is on the screen right now, and
donating 20 subs.
Thank you.
Holy shit. God damn. Hey, yo.
Cool.
Well, for everybody over on YouTube who's getting suddenly a flurry of subscriptions, thank you so much, Nefarious Yawn. Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. And congratulations to everybody over on YouTube who got the subscriptions. Thank you so much. Welcome in. For those who got the memberships over on YouTube, you should know that with that membership comes access to some bonus content that's available on my channel on YouTube that's available to members only, including the first half of the entirety of the My Immortal fan fiction read as an audiobook by yours truly. So you've got access to that whenever you want to go watch that. It's like an hour or some odd long of me reading the world's wackiest Harry Potter fan fiction. It's quite good, if I do say so myself. Streaming is not a web dating service, says Peaceful Chaotic Goddess. I agree. The YouTube bone cone. Wait. What? What? Hold on, I missed something. Do they get a piece of candy with it? They don't get a piece of candy with it. And there is not a members only jacket. I'm so sorry. I would work on that, but I already have that. It's on my merch store. It's a denim jacket. Merch from .dev. See, look. It's sold out, unfortunately, currently, but it's the denim jacket that I wear. And it's at merch from .dev. So I have one. It's kind of a member jacket, but it's not a free member jacket is the thing. You must understand. The problem is money. Damn. Like, imagine if I could just get one of those. So, like, okay, Nvidia has $5 trillion now.
Hey,
Nvidia is now a $5
wait,
trillion
just
company.
subscribed.
Imagine if I had one of those. Just one of the trillions. They don't need all 5. Just give me one. I can do some good shit with it. Everyone gets a candy necklace. Everyone gets a coupon for one free large drink, non-alcoholic, at Dave & Buster's. And then also everyone gets housing and medicine. That's my platform. Give me $1 trillion. Everybody's gonna go to Dave & Buster's. Everybody gets a candy necklace, food, housing, shelter, medicine. Can I get dental as well? No, because I'm gonna use that money to research how to make dentists obsolete. Okay, I'm going to research how to make it so that we can get a laser. Right, it's gonna be a laser that they shoot into your mouth, and it modifies your teeth on the molecular level to no longer have the capacity to feel pain, but also they become extraordinarily hard and virtually unbreakable and plaque resistant. Yep. And I'm going to convert all dentist offices to a place where the people who were dentists have to sit there while everyone else takes the scraper things to their gums. Give them a taste of their own medicine. That taste being blood because my gums are bleeding. Dev for president. I would make the worst fucking president. Oh my God. They'd be like, sir, we need you to go to the United Western European Coalition. And I'd be like, I'm fucking tired. Can I just take a nap? Like, please? Like, I really just don't want to. Dr. Nanotech. Necrotech. Dr. Necrotech. 3 months. Speaking of nanotech. This is perfect. This is a great segue. Thank you. Consider the following scenario. Avengers Doomsday flops. Consider. I genuinely wonder what would happen to America if the next major Avengers movie that they're dumping all of this money, it's supposed to be like, you know, they've been really hobbling along. Disney's had that a lot of like political trouble recently with all those cancellations of Disney Plus. People are kind of like uninclined to go with Disney right now. People are kind of tired of the MCU. There haven't really been good things coming out of the MCU recently. Imagine Doomsday comes out, which is gonna be like, I believe the most money they've ever put into an Avengers movie. I'll double check that in a second. And it just completely fucking flops. Like worse than not making a return on investment, like, is an undeniable death toll, like death bell for the MCU. Imagine if that happened. I genuinely wonder what that would signal, like all the knock-on effects essentially of like, we've left that era. Now, I think this is like a 40% chance of happening. I think it's going to be fine. I think the movie's going to come out and make more than $1 billion and be profitable, and it's all going to keep going because it's fucking Disney putting out a Marvel movie with all the big name people. That's just how it works, right? But I genuinely wonder what that would mean for the rest of the economy, right? Like if the vibes have shifted so much that a giant blockbuster Avengers movie can't work anymore, that's like, to me, a very loud sign that we are in a new era. And I know that makes no fucking sense, right? I'm basically saying if Avengers Doomsday fails, then we can have hope for the future. But I think it's true, right? Like I think people are really at the end of the line of what they're dealing with right now, like what they're willing to handle. And I think we are looking for anything different and anything new. And I cannot think of a larger endorsement for not changing anything than making a new Avengers movie with the same fucking cast, right? Like that movie is emblematic of, let's keep doing the same thing forever and you'll keep coming forever. That sounds actually kind of nice. But you'll keep attending our movies forever. I feel like at some point as a consumer, it's like, you know, this kind of just feels like my mortgage, actually. Like, this kind of just feels like my student loan. I don't think I want to do this anymore. I think I'm done. I think I'm going to go watch like an indie film or something of substance that isn't just the same people doing the same plot in a different order again. Nice ears, says Lupus. Thank you. Thank you. It's my Halloween costume. It's the closest I'm going to get. Who's the villain supposed to be? Dr. Doom. That's why it's called Doomsday. And Dr. Doom is being played by Robert Downey Jr. because of the point that I just made, right? Like, I just made the point of they just try to keep doing the same thing over and over again and hope that people keep paying for it. They brought back RDJ. I figured I'd mention it. I find it concerning that Trump's healthcare plan is classified. I don't know what that's referring to. Has he even put out a healthcare plan? Trump healthcare plan classified. Like a plan for US healthcare or care for him? Not sure what that's referring to. I don't see anything when I search Trump healthcare plan classified. Not pulling anything up for that. With the multiverse, nobody's sacrifice really matters. It still matters. I think that in a multiverse, it just means that there are more lives, right? A sacrifice of a life doesn't lose meaning because there's a copy of that life. It's the same thing as like, there's the concept of a teleportation device that you step in one end and it breaks you down into your atoms and reassembles you elsewhere. Or rather, imagine it's not reassembling you, it is analyzing every single atom in your body and replicating that atom for atom in another location. The person that steps out of that other location is not you. That is a newly constructed being that has the exact same atomic structure as you and believes that they're you, has all of your memories, has a consciousness that immediately starts as if they picked up where you left off, but you die. Your stream of consciousness ends because you walked into the thing that dismantles you and creates a new one. So if that's the case, and you would hesitate to walk into that machine, then someone's sacrifice in a multiverse does matter. I think that's what it comes down to. I'm just talking about a cinematic universe, or cinematic universe with a multiverse where any character can be replaced with another version, a la Deadpool and the Wolverine. I mean, yes. Sure, yes. Like it's also useful for plot convenience. Absolutely. But still. But still. Yeah, I would not walk into that machine, I think I would not walk into that machine. Because someone said, doesn't matter if it's you or not. It does, right? If your consciousness right now ended and you would never experience consciousness again, but someone said, don't worry, an exact replica of you will take your place, ignoring the haha, finally I could have a rest side of the joke, you would have pause, right? Like, if someone told you walking into this box ends your consciousness permanently, you'd be like, oh, that's death. That's me dying. Regardless of what comes out the other end, the entity experiencing this consciousness, cease. Like, a copy of me comes out, great. Okay, I'm glad that my loved ones will still have a copy of me, but I won't be receiving that love. A clone of me will. Pick a number between 56 and 327, inclusive or exclusive. I'm going to say 56. Just to be a piece of shit. The Star Trek teleporter kills you and rebuilds you the moment before you died in another place, but if it glitches, there can be two of you. I like how they're like, oh yeah, it kills you and rebuilds you the moment before you died, as in, like, it's supposed to maintain your stream of consciousness. Seems convenient. Seems a little convenient. But from a materialistic perspective, from a materialistic view, would you experience death? Yes. Well, I mean, I don't know what you mean by, like, the entity walking into the box is going to experience death. It might be instantaneous and painless, but the ceasing of existence, that's death, right? Like, I've got a crit on my face. A double crit on my face. And then a 1. Wait, crit 1? Holy shit. God damn. Incredible work, Krayley. Well done. Pedro the Duck says, I would sprint into the teleporter, but I think it says more about my mental health than anything. Yeah, that's it, right? Like, if it's like, oh yeah, I can finally die. That's one thing, but if we discover the multiverse, there's going to be a massive wave of social nihilism and despair based on this question. It's similar to discovering life on other planets, right? If we discover life on other planets, religion is going to implode. Like, that's a massive thing. They're going to explain why it's fine. They're going to do everything they can to not have to implode, but, like, that is going to be the biggest challenge to religion basically ever, or at least any religion that claims that Earth is divinely unique, which is a lot of them, but not all of them. Right, but a carbon copy would continue the entity uninterrupted. Yes, but a carbon copy is not the same thing. It's not. Like, it's not the ship of Theseus. It's not that things have been replaced piece by piece until everything has been replaced. It's someone took the ship of Theseus and tore it down, left it in rubble, and then used different wood entirely to rebuild it from the exact same spec. So it's not that they took the ship of Theseus and slowly moved all the parts in and out until it was all new parts. They dismantled one and created another that was identical, down to the exact molecular level. But that's still something new. I'm talking about the end of a stream of consciousness, not the presence of you in this plane. If that... Do those words make sense? Like conscious energy, I mean? See, that's getting into very esoteric, like, I don't know what you mean by conscious energy. Everybody here needs to watch Pantheon. Everybody here needs to watch my stream. Haha! Nothing scarier than existential dread on this here Halloween? Absolutely. Welcome to my existential dread stream, where we contemplate the meaning of existence and consciousness, and whether or not consciousness has some sort of unique property beyond being electricity firing between meat in our heads. If we were in a multiverse like Marvel, would you feel bad if in almost every other universe you were an authoritarian? It's not me. That's not me. I have nothing to do with that person. So no. Like, I would... it depends on a lot of factors, right? If I had the capability of traversing the multiverse and the means to end authoritarians, I would feel compelled to do something about it. But if we knew that the multiverse existed and we can only observe it, and I was not an authoritarian, but every other version of me was an authoritarian, I'd probably be like, oh wow, I did good with this one. I did a good job. But that's not me, right? Like, I didn't make those decisions. A different version of me made those decisions, who has no overlap in consciousness with me. They just had the same, like, chemical componentry. And in their timeline, some influence of entropy caused them to take different steps than I did and land in different places. I mean, everybody is I think everybody has the capacity to have pretty much any kind of mindset. I don't believe that we are predisposed to certain mindsets, like certain like political worldviews and shit. So I don't see why I would feel shame for that. Probably just electricity firing between meat in our heads. Gotta love that electric head meat. It's pretty good, except for when it makes me want to kill myself. Sometimes my electric head meat is like, hey, can you give me some pills so that you don't want me to kill you? And I'm like, all right, here you go. And I feed it some pills. Our lives being overwhelmingly small doesn't make them less important. It makes the little intricacies all that more amazing. We're really getting into existential horror here on this here stream. Yes, we are tiny. We are tiny and insignificant. We are nothing. We are specks of dust in an indifferent universe. Everything that you've ever thought, said, felt, everyone you've ever loved, every place that you've ever known, every feeling that you've ever felt, everything you've ever held dear will cease to exist at some point. It's going to get swallowed up by the sun. It's going to get spread apart into molecules that are so distant from each other that there is no heat. It's gonna leave your grasp. You're going to fade from existence. No one will remember who you are in just a couple generations. Your great grandkids will not be able to know your name and will basically have virtually no more genetic connection to you than a random person on the street would have been. With all of that said, you matter. Like, you still matter. You know why? Because I fucking said so. Because mattering is a function of existence and consciousness. And we invented the concept of mattering. And we can decide whether or not we matter. The only reason that the universe is indifferent is because the universe itself is not the thing projecting indifference. It's just doing. It's just existing. It is the breeze in the air. It is the light on your skin. It's just there. We are the ones that are projecting meaning and drive and purpose and story and everything else onto an indifferent universe. And therefore, we control what does and does not matter. And we can just say something does or does not matter. Now, trying to convince other people that things that you feel matter is the trick. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. Because as long as something matters to one person, then it fucking matters. Because even if that person is going to cease to exist, even if everything that they've ever done will someday go away, the only thing that we have agency over is the stuff that's in that window of time before the sun explodes and the universe has its nice little heat death. And while we're here, we might as well do something good with it. We might as well make other people's lives better, and we might as well cherish things that we think should
Sounds
matter.
like rebellion
Because it's
propaganda
all
to me.
we have. And our options are fucking die or enjoy it while we're here. I'm going to enjoy it while I'm here. I think you matter. And I think that even in the grand scheme of everything, like a person who sits around and doesn't really do a whole lot with their life and just kind of exists, really has very little impact on the world, still mattered. Probably mattered to the people around them, their family. If not their family, their friends. If not their friends, maybe there was a nearby stray cat that really liked it whenever this person walked by and depended on them every day. Just to have something going on, just to break up the day. Oh, here comes this person that I see every day. This is a meaningful interaction, even though I'm just a fucking cat. I think it's time to switch topics, maybe. I'm good. I'll talk about what I'm talking about. The point I'm trying to get at here is you should be proud of what you have control over and what you care about. Like, if you care about something, that's awesome. Give a shit. Like, give a shit about things. Care about people, care about things, care about stuff. Because it's so much better than just, like, throwing your hands in the air and being a giant blah. No one wants to hang out with someone who's just gonna, like, completely naysay everything and just say it's all useless, or like, oh, you can't enjoy XYZ because there are people in other place experiencing bad stuff. Like, you can't just be a detractor on everyone forever. You have to have something going on. Was not expecting to sob before noon. Don't cry. Save that hydration. I don't want you to get dehydrated. Okay, it's just me. Not trying to cry while in class. I'm glad that you're watching my stream instead of paying attention to class. It's very important. I'm teaching much better than the class is anyway, so that's good. I once... I had a class in college that I took that was like intro to music. It was like I needed to get a fine arts credit, and it was... It was well understood that it was a once-a-week course, which in college, once-a-week classes are like 3 hours long, at least where I went. So it was a 3-hour-long, once-a-week class, Mondays at 7 p.m. But it was well understood that the structure of the class was you go there, and every single class started with an exam, a quiz. The quiz was a combination of like your attendance and a quiz. And then the way it worked was when you finished your quiz, you could leave the room, and then you would come back in at a designated time to start the actual lecture. But once you did the quiz, you've already signed basically your attendance sheet and did the work that was going to be graded for that day. And it was just understood that everybody would just go home after the quiz. So I can't really blame you for watching a stream in a lecture because I barely paid attention in college. Pay attention in college. Learn things. I'm mad that I didn't really learn to learn until I was out of college. Like I didn't learn how to appreciate learning and like what learning actually kind of meant and why it was good and had the drive to want to do it until I was out of college. And now it's like, damn, I wish I had the time, money, and energy to go like audit some interesting class. There's no way. I don't have any of those things. But I wish that like back in college, I fucking respected what I was doing. I didn't know how to learn. I saw everything as a task that needed to be overcome so I could get past it and get closer to being done with school. That is the only lens that I saw college through. I wasn't seeing it through the lens of like exploring and expanding horizons. Purely just, how do I get past this? I come from a family of teachers, and none of them think that schools are the best way to learn. Yeah, my sister-in-law is a former public school something. Not a teacher, but like worked in more or less like administration stuff for various public school systems for a long time. And they put their kid into a private school, which is like really surprising to me. Like I didn't think that they would do that. But like, I get it. If you're the kind of like, I worked at a bunch of tech companies, and if someone was like, hey, which tech company should I go all in on to provide all my internet services? I'd be like, none of them. So like, I can't really blame a person who's seen how the sausage is made vis-a-vis public school being like, yeah, no, we're going to put our kid in private school. Especially now. Dropped out of college because they wouldn't give me, what's the word for like disability help? Like assistance or what's it called? Accommodations? Is that what you, accommodations, I think is the term that you're looking for. Reasonable accommodation. Thank you, Matt Stormcrow. Matt Stormcrow out here just carrying this stream today. Like, honestly. Matt's out here with this stream on his back. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry? Eritastigo says, back, had to paint a little boy like a piece of wood. I mean, I'm wearing cat ears. I can't judge. I'm assuming it's for a costume. Is the little boy going as Plank? God, that'd be amazing. If you are not a person who grew up watching Ed, Edd, and Eddy, I'm very fucking sorry. I'm very sorry that your life was awful. Like, just the worst. Plank is, honest to God, one of the most, like, in terms of, if you were to do power scaling of fictional characters, I'm fairly certain Plank resides somewhere in the highest echelons. Like, up there with gods that can create and destroy entire universes, Plank is up there. Plank is literally just a emotional support board that a character named Johnny 2x4 carries around. And yeah, it's this kid carries around a board with a face drawn on it, and it's like the equivalent of his stuffed animal, essentially. But they like make it a point to make Plank a more significant character than they needed to. So like there are episodes where like Plank has autonomy. You never see Plank doing anything. Plank is always just a board, never actually does anything. But it's implied that Plank was the reason for certain like major events to happen or something. And so yeah, Plank is quite dangerous. That'd be an amazing Halloween costume. Plank is S tier. Plank is S tier. Plank has killed God. Well, thank you. We met at Gen Con a few years ago, by the way, at the punk show. Oh yeah. The show. Yeah. It was like a show followed by, I think I left before there was like a live actual play kind of thing going on, right? I ended up leaving before that because I had to go find a person. But yeah, glad you're here. Good to see you again. You are remembering right. I'm remembering it being very hot in there. I'm remembering it being extremely hot. I also remember, and this is not a dig at the facility. It was a tiny little venue, tiny little theater place. They were like, oh yeah, the bar is around that corner. I was like, oh great. And so I went down what I thought was going to be a hallway into a bar. It was not a hallway into a bar. It was a little nook that kind of looked like a hallway. And in that nook was a tiny little window cut out where there was like essentially a broom closet with a single poor woman sitting in a like shitty chair with a cash register and a mini fridge with some like cans of beer and water. And she looked so hot. She was like sweating. And I'm like, is this the bar? And she's like, yeah. I genuinely, like, somebody directed me. They're like, oh yeah, you're gonna want to head that way. I assumed when someone says you're gonna head that way, I was assuming like I'm gonna need to go somewhere. There's gonna be a bit of a journey and I will arrive at my destination. The journey was the destination. And the destination was a sad, overheated woman with a mini fridge and a card reader. The concept of power scaling is so silly. Oh God, no, don't. No, okay, it's not a cheat. No, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. Power scaling is the best. As someone who doesn't care, right? I don't care about the outcomes of power scaling. I know that there are a lot of people, a lot of nerds who get very, very into it and get like heated about power scaling. For those who don't know what power scaling is, it's what it says on the tin. It's the idea of taking various characters and essentially asking who would win in a fight and extrapolate that to the entirety of like all canon. And that's power scaling. Organizing every character that someone would give a shit about into tiers of power to answer the question, who beats out over who. And so there's like an entire wiki, an entire community is dedicated to identifying this, coming up with hierarchies, arguing over which characters fall where, and they're really in depth about it. They go into like every bit of material that has any example of a character using a certain kind of power. They like come up with generic terms for different powers that characters might exhibit. And it's really interesting. People get super heated over it. Like intensely angry over it. If you don't care and you're just like, I want to know what people think about these different characters, it's genuinely a great way to make use of all of their weaponized autistic hatred to learn about the specifics of the characters you like. Because now there's an entire wiki dedicated to here's a character and every single power that they could possibly have when they used those powers and similar other characters. And so it's really fascinating to be like, oh wow, okay, so like within this universe, these characters are generally on par with like these characters from this completely other universe. And like, it's interesting. I just like going through the power scaling wiki and just reading about shit. But just never become someone who's gonna like swat someone over how they perceive the power level of a character from a game or an anime. Don't do that. Johnny Bravo solos Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. Yeah, probably. Johnny Bravo is pretty powerful. You see how big that chest is? My goodness. Wait, what year of Gen Con had a punk show? It wasn't official. It was a an unofficial fundraiser. It was 2 years ago. I didn't go to Gen Con last year. I'm probably not going to be going to Gen Con probably ever again. 2 years ago, Gen Con pulled some shit with regards to not protecting creators who were in support of ending the genocide in Gaza, and there was a bunch of like Zionists that were attacking creators who were doing things, and Gen Con basically said, hey, creators, stop drawing heat, and that pissed off a lot of people. And so there was a fundraiser to raise money to, you know, donate to Gaza that was put on by creators at the same time as Gen Con that had a couple different like local punk bands and then a live TTRPG show. So it wasn't really like anything really like put on by Gen Con. I meant it positively. Power scaling as a fun hobby. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, power scaling is fucking great. It's good stuff. They were back this year to support trans rights. Yeah, actually, I was invited to go perform at it this last year. And I would have gone if I had a reason to be in the area aside from that one event. I would have gone. But it was really, really difficult. Like I wasn't going to attend Gen Con, and there weren't enough Gen Con adjacent events that I was gonna care about to merit making an entire trip. But they actually did reach out to me and asked if I wanted to do like a comedy set, which is interesting and something I've never actually considered before. But that could have been fun. I would have absolutely done it if I was there. That Scans happened to be there that year. I would have gone if I had heard. Yeah, it was a pretty small thing. It wasn't particularly big. Yeah, I don't know. Gen Con's fine. I don't really care anymore about Gen Con. Like they kind of like did some dumb shit, and then also it's in Indiana, and also it's just kind of a shit show. Like it's a great con if you've never been to Gen Con and you really want to go to a really, really, really big tabletop convention. Like, yeah, that's the play. I don't see myself returning unless I am explicitly like invited and paid for to go, which I don't think is going to happen because I just shelved my only TTRPG project indefinitely. So probably not. Cons in general, I went to cons for a little while at first, like earlier on into like doing content stuff. The problem with cons is like they cost money unless you're being flown out there. And I see them as a business trip, right? Like I see cons as I am a content creator. I am going there to like meet with people who like my stuff. That's always a great part of it. But then also like make connections with companies that have similar interests and talk to like other creators and game developers about like opportunities to like run their stuff or do whatever, right? It's a networking event, right? I see it as a work trip. A lot of people in the creator space are not kind of like in the same place. A lot of people see it as like primarily a social trip and like a thing that they have to do to stay relevant. And that's not a thing that I feel. And so I found myself going to a bunch of cons, spending a lot of money to do so, running myself ragged to try to be out there because I was just like sort of taking cues from a bunch of other creators who went to a lot of cons. And I was like, oh, well then I obviously need to be going to cons if I'm going to be relevant. Turns out that's just completely not true. So instead, I'm saving that money, putting it towards other things like paying artists for art and trying to use my time more wisely to make more interesting things. So we'll see when if I end up going to cons more frequently in the future. I just don't know. But I have very little interest in being a like routine con goer. I also just don't want to be constantly exposing myself to that much of a COVID vector threat. Like every time that people go to these cons, they go out on the floor. They don't want to wear.
An elder is among us.
20 months from names. Rolled a got a crit. 216. Nice. Every time that these cons happen, people go there and they don't want to wear their masks because they want to be able to be recognized and shit. And then they all get COVID. And then they're like, "Why am I sick?" Like, I don't know. Maybe wear a mask. Maybe mask up at the con where everyone's kind of crammed together and breathing in each other's faces. And the other half is everybody fucks, right? Like all the content creators, like who are not really seeing it as a work thing, they're all fucking each other. Like that's what's happening. And so like they're all just spreading germs left and right, getting each other sick. And so when a bunch of creators come back from a con and they're all equally sick, that's basically why. Is between like going out and partying constantly, hooking up, it's just like a thing that happens. And I'm just like not interested in those sides of the cons. I'm not interested in the immense amount of drama. I don't want to like get put on blast, and I'm certainly not going to name any names or say anything specific, but like there's a lot of really unacceptable shit that happens between creators, and then people have these massive dramatic meltdowns, and it's like I'm not victim blaming, and also you're shitting where you eat constantly. Like, don't fuck your coworkers, right? Like, this is understood. And the problem is, when you have a bunch of independent contractors, which is like what content creators basically are, and you have a bunch of independent contractors who were especially previously nerds, who didn't get a lot of action, and are now getting a lot of attention, and are all attractive, and are all constantly seeing each other have a bunch of people lusting after them, and then all of them get together finally, and have been building up this sort of like tension the whole time, and then shit explodes, and then it boils over into the public eye, and then we have drama. Cons are just Bandcamp for nerds, just saying, yeah, same shit. It's the exact same shit. The point I'm trying to get at is don't fuck your coworkers. And that goes for all situations. Workplace romance doesn't usually end well. Don't fuck your coworkers also because, like, for the sake of your other coworkers. I've been in a office in which two of my coworkers had a really bad breakup, and I had to deal with that shit. Don't fuck your coworkers. Don't do it. Just don't. I mean, I know you're gonna do it anyway. I know I can't stop you, but still. Seems like content creation is pretty lonely. It depends. I've gotten very closed with regards to collaborations. Earlier on into my content work, I was a lot more open to doing collaborations. I had some collab projects that went up in fucking flames, and I want to never have to deal with shit like that again, a la drama bullshit that I don't want to deal with. I have a hard line of I am not dealing with drama. And if you're going to be a person who's going to bring that shit into my life, I'm out. Like, I make that clear. If you are a close personal friend of mine and you're going through a difficult time, that's not drama. If you fuck up real bad and try to cover up your fuck up, I'm not going to cover up your fuck up for you. Like, that's on you. I don't need to be taking on that work. So since then, I've been following some advice from another creator that I talked to who has been very, very helpful. And she made it clear, like, yeah, don't do 50-50 partnerships with creators in general. Just don't do that. You can go be a guest on someone's show. You can go do a collaboration with someone, like a one-off collab. Don't have 50% ownership with somebody else. And like, don't bring somebody else on to a project that is your pet. Because you then open yourself up to the unpredictability of whatever they're going to be doing and however they are. So if I'm doing something that I care about, I'm keeping control over it at this point. As far as like whether or not it's lonely, I still have content creator friends that I talk to, that I keep up with. It's not 100% of creators that are like that. There is a subset of creators who are more interested in riding the fame of their viewership than they are in like doing content creation. And those are the people who are causing that drama and shit. There are also plenty of people who are just excited to make content. And those people are the ones that I'm really excited to meet and do things with and be friends with and like make cool shit alongside. And like very thankfully, I have found a good core group of folks who are just like that, who I don't have to worry about going off and having some massive scandal because they're just being normal people about it. So to that end, it's not particularly bad. I wish that I was less scarred. I wish I had less scar tissue. But I've had to work through the hard way, learning these lessons of like, play things close to your chest. Make sure that you're in control of how, as best you can, of how people see you. Because like, I've caught strays from people who either misinterpreted a situation or didn't know who I was or something. There was a huge creator scandal, like a big sex scandal of a guy that was like sleeping with a whole bunch of different creators who he was saying that he told them all that he was poly, and he wasn't actually poly. He had a girlfriend. This is almost 100% of all of the drama, by the way, is dude claims he's poly, sleeps with a bunch of women. Turns out he was never poly and was lying to all of them. That's like 90% of all of the creator drama. Someone thought that was me. It wasn't me. It was a black guy with dreads. But all they saw was the name, and they were like, "Oh, is that?" They saw his like real name, and they're like, "Is that Endeavorance?" I'm like, "What?" Like it was in the comments of a video that somebody posted to TikTok calling this guy out. And they replied in that video and tagged me asking if I'm the guy that's being talked about in the video. And I'm like, what did I do? I wasn't even at this convention. What? I don't know who these people, what are you talking about? So like, you got to be careful because like, even if you're not involved in drama, you can get accidentally involved in drama. They tagged me. Yes, they actually tagged me. It was like, you know, so-and-so name, ... is that at Endeavorance? And I'm like, no. Thank you for the hydrate, Ada. I had a coworker who did the same thing and also stole money from people, then moved. That's a hell of a coworker. Damn. You're not a black guy with dreads? Unfortunately not. I know this might come as a surprise to some people. Oh, we're out of music. Jangly vibes. I know that comes as a surprise. I'm very sorry to disappoint. People like that make poly people look bad. That's the really unfortunate part, is like, there's a lot of people who are using the label of poly, and they're using it in weird ways. Like, I know a few people who try to use the label of poly, but what they actually mean is just, I am in an open relationship and my wife presumably has agreed that I can fuck people when we're out and about. Like, I specifically know a couple who apparently, I've been told, I haven't heard it from both of them, but I've been told that they have an agreement that when the guy's traveling and the girl is not there, he's allowed to have sex with other people, but if she's with him, then not. Ethical non-monogamy. Yeah. But they're calling that poly. That's not poly. That's just, you're allowed to fuck people when you're traveling. Which is fine. You can do that. I don't care. No one should care. As long as everyone involved is consenting and aware of who's fucking who, or or is consenting about not being aware about who's fucking who, but consent is the important part. And if the second that you break consent, I have nothing to do with you. Absolutely nothing to do with you. And so like poly people usually are that way because they have a very good understanding of consent and because they're very open about everything and because they're talking about all this shit. But very unfortunately, there's a lot of people who use that as a essentially disarming talking point, or they try to say like, oh, I'm in a poly relationship, so you don't need to worry about it. But that's not really how poly works. Now, I can't speak for all poly couples or polycules, period, but like being poly doesn't mean that you can just go fuck someone on a whim. Like, maybe that's your setup, and if it is, okay, I'm not talking about you. But poly does not definitionally mean I have a girlfriend, but I can fuck whoever I want without her knowledge. Poly means I have multiple romantic partners, and almost exclusively, they're all aware of each other and approving of each other. Like, it's, yeah, poly, yeah, cheating exists in poly. It's about communication. Yeah. And so, like, when you've got people who are like, I'm poly, it's okay, we can hook up at this convention, that should be the world's biggest red flag. Because if you have not heard that from their partner, if it's not their partner saying, yeah, go fuck my partner, then they're hiding something. Like, you can't take, if someone says, I have a partner, but don't worry about it, trust me, it's okay for me to fuck you. If you're a person who cares, you'd probably be like, actually, I kind of want to know what's up with your situation first. I mean, they could also just say, I'm single and don't have a partner, and then fuck. Like, that's one thing. But if you've been given the information that there is another person involved here, and you've just been told, don't worry about it, that should be a huge red flag. If they just lied to you and use false pretense to get consent, that's rape. Like, that's just rape. That's just rape. that's all it is. Obfuscation is cheating. Yeah. Like, I've also, so I'm really hawkish about cheating, I think, because I've been cheated on so much. It's really bad. It fucking sucks. And I want nothing to do with it ever, on either side. I not infrequently think about a girl that I nearly hooked up with, but I knew she was dating some guy at the time. It was like a summer fling. Like, they had been together for a couple of weeks at most, but just the fact that she was already seeing a guy and he was under the assumption that they were an item and didn't know that I existed. She ended up staying with me for a few days while she was in town, and, you know, it kind of came out that we had a thing for each other, and she was like laying on top of me with her face so close to mine that our lips were effectively touching, essentially daring me to kiss her, and like, our lips were touching and I still did not pucker. Like, I made it a point that I wasn't engaging. Because I was like, I really obviously want to, but I would not be able to live with myself because I would be participating in cheating. And I know how much that sucks for the other person, even though this guy probably won't even fucking care. That is the degree to which I'm just like, nah. The second that I get a whiff of cheating, I'm like, nah, I'm fucking out. Welcome to my Halloween stream, where I talk about my emotional baggage from past relationships. The only time I can think to condone cheating is if the cheating side feels that leaving the partner would be dangerous. I mean, like, the second danger is involved in a relationship, the entirety of all of the dynamics change quite a lot. Like, that's a very different situation. But in a relationship in which people are trying to participate in good faith, what is paramount is consent and communication and understanding. I've been in situations just like that, and same. Yeah. I refuse to be the other person. I don't want to be that. I don't want to, I know what has happened to my fucking heart. I don't want to cause that to other people. And I've seen it just destroy other people's lives. Like, literally take lives. It's not worth it. For some fucking strange. Like, congrats. You got off today. Was it worth it? In a normal relationship, cheating is scummy behavior. Yeah, I mean, like, just be healthy. Like, just communicate. And if you're not happy, then just talk about that. Figure out what that means. Figure out what changes need to be made. And if those changes include going your separate ways, then go your separate ways. So be it. She what? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it was like she was coming on to me, but it was like a teasing, like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this kind of a thing. Anyway, I'm making it sound like I'm some kind of like sexual deviant. I've just had, of the relationships that I have had, they have all been fucking whack. It's not like I've had a million of them. They're just all worth a million in terms of whack ass stories. Also, poly isn't all sunshine and roses either. I've been in a poly relationship that was also abusive. I'm gonna be honest. I know one polycule that is mostly functional. I've known a lot of polycules. Like, I've probably known more polycules than the average non-poly person. And while I'm not saying that this is indicative of how they all are, what I have learned is they are immeasurably more difficult to maintain than a normal relationship. That's been what I've observed from the polycules that I've known, filled with people who were trying to make it work, and it fell apart. That said, it's not like I'm saying it's not a real thing. Like I said, like, I know a polycule that's working very, very well, and they're happy, and that's great. And I know a new one that just formed, and I hope it sticks around. I know a molecule, if that counts. A lady came over with the intention that we would sleep together. She revealed that she was a global warming denialist, and I had to ask her to leave because I no longer found her attractive. Brutal. Oh my god, brutal. Imagine, you're getting down and dirty, you're getting into the thick of it, and she just hits you with the, by the way, global warming is not a man-made phenomenon, and you're just like, fuck! My boner! Damn it! Stupidity is such a turnoff. That's unfortunate. That's real sad. She was arrogant and condescending. Oh my god. Excuse me. Tired boy. Very tired boy. Science things? What do I have in my... Remember when I said I make a list of things I was going to talk about and then I forget to look at it because I get distracted? Guess what happened? I've got a list of things I wanted to talk about and I got distracted. Let's see. What's on my... The first thing I have written on here is, it just says, I don't hate Hocus Pocus. And the reason for that is because someone recently was like, you hate Hocus Pocus, right? They're like, oh, it's Halloween, I should watch Hocus Pocus. You hate that movie, right? And I'm like, praise! I can't think of something that I would have less of a strong opinion on than the movie Hocus Pocus. I'm certain that I have never said I hate Hocus Pocus. I have seen it once. I have seen the movie exactly one time because someone was like, oh, you've never seen Hocus Pocus? And then we watched it and I was like, okay, now I've seen it. That was fun. But for whatever reason, this person took that as, you hate Hocus Pocus. And I had to like fucking spend time defending myself today. about my feelings on Hocus Pocus. I don't have the capacity for hatred in my heart to hold for the movie Hocus Pocus. I don't have the space for that. I've never seen it. I guess I can do that today. It's just a silly movie. I don't know. I don't know why somebody thought that I hated it, but anyway, speaking of that, let's talk about the genocide in Sudan. So I don't really know how to handle this because I've been spending the past 2 years or whatever posting near daily about the genocide in Gaza, and it has damn near broken me. And now there's a massive escalation from the RSF, which is a United Arab Emirates funded military group on the ground in Sudan, massacring people. All of my feeds are filled with creators talking about how we need to talk about this and saying, like, you know, we need to donate, we need to do something about this. I'm going to talk about it. I'm broken, y'all. I don't know what to say at this point. I can't like essentially there has been a genocide going on in Sudan for my entire adult life. And there's been a recent escalation by the RSF as Western nations are pulling out of the area more and more, and the UAE is trying to become the dominant capitalist force in the area. They're trying to establish more control in more places, and as a part of that, they've been funding a paramilitary group to go in and massacre people in Sudan so that they can install dictators and basically just continue pillaging the area in lieu of Western powers doing the same thing. Recently, there were just like a huge spike in killings. They captured a town, El Fasher, and they are essentially just going through and systemically killing everybody in it. And it's horrific. And there's really nothing else to say besides it's the worst of humanity on display in 4K being posted to social media. It's backed by UAE, and it's you know, tacitly allowed by Western nations because the UAE is essentially a Western proxy. I don't know what to say. I get people saying, we need to donate, we need to do something. Like, donate what to where? Do what? Call who? Like, we've been like, I don't want to be defeatist. I don't want to be a doomer. I don't want to act as if we have no agency in this world, because we very, very much do. And I'm gonna talk about this, and I'm gonna provide updates when I can. And also, I'm not gonna sit here and repeatedly make you, the viewer, feel like this is your job. Because it's also not my job to solve every genocide on Earth. I can think of at least 3, probably 4, 5 going on actively right now across multiple continents, funded by the world's largest superpowers and largest backing banks, with military support from the strongest militaristic superpowers the world has ever seen. We are not fixing it. We are not solving it. We, the people on this stream, are not going to fix the genocide in Sudan. It breaks my heart that I can't snap my fingers and fucking fix this. What we can do is know in our hearts that this is the some of the most fucked up shit that a human being can do to another human being. And we can be relentless in maintaining that as an atrocity, in making sure that people understand that this is a thing that's just going on, that we enable. And it's a fact of life. It sucks. It's the worst, and I wish that we could just stop it. But we can't. There's not even a militaristic insurgent target. There's like literally nothing. Even if a large contingent of people got together, created some sort of independent multinational military to go after the powers that have been funding and abetting these genocides, there does not exist a force capable of doing that. I'm only saying this because I need people to not fall into abject despair when they're seeing the inevitable torrent of stuff coming out of Sudan. It's going to be horrific. It's already horrific. I'm sure that a lot of people here have already seen the talking point about how there's so much killing and blood that satellite imagery is picking up dead bodies bleeding out in the street. Like, it is truly horrific, and there's nothing that you can do from it or do about it from your phone. And so, like, I have been getting a torrent on like my For You page and all of my feeds and everything of just basically people angrily shaming everyone else for like not talking about this enough. Like, get the fuck out of here with that. And like, I'm going to be talking about this. And I do think it's a thing that we need to put in front of people. I think people need to be educated about like what the fuck is happening, about the fact that this is going on, about the fact that we're funding it, about the fact that we allow the UAE to keep doing it, about like why and how and the mechanisms that are driving it, and how at the end of the day it's still all just capitalism and imperialism. But like, I don't know what anyone thinks is going to happen by like calling out people who are just like, if you are a citizen of the US, you are probably concerned about losing access to food tomorrow. What we don't have space for is an entire nation to rise up and make meaningful change in the way that our foreign policy, specifically militaristic foreign policy, works. Because the vast majority of people in this country are trying to fucking exist, and that's as much as they can handle. We voted Donald Trump back into office. That was the will of the nation. You know, as far as our system, we know that wasn't the real will of the nation, but as far as our systems are concerned, that was the will of the nation. That a nation that elected Donald J. Trump again is not a nation that is going to be yelled at into complying with ending a genocide. And so where I'm at this point is, you know, I've spent however long talking about the genocide in Gaza, and obviously that has no comparison whatsoever to the people who have been on the ground there, who've been reporting there, who have been struggling there and dying there. And at the same time, like, I don't think that my best impact on trying to improve the world is to turn my laser beam to focus entirely on another genocide. I don't think that we just hop from genocide to genocide and tell people to keep donating their money to a GoFundMe to end the genocide. I don't think that's how genocides end. I think genocides end by creating the scenarios in which the extraordinarily well-established powers that are committing these genocides can be toppled. Because until capital is not the driving factor, until there's not a network of billionaires, multi-hundred billionaires, who are essentially funding efforts to keep the world at a standstill for their gain, until those people are out, until my average neighbor has the capacity to care about things beyond their next meal. And as much as I wish that I could just grab people by the shoulders and tell them, you know, I know you're hungry, but there's people dying over there. That's not a winning strategy. You don't get people to get on board with a mass movement of anything by yelling at them and telling them that someone has it worse, or telling them that their problems aren't real enough. Because you're basically saying, I and the people who think like me are going to leave you behind. Like, you're feeling a struggle right now. Let me both invalidate your struggle, position myself as superior to you, and do nothing about it while pushing you away from a potential actual solution towards the problems that I have at top of mind. That is not how you win. You convince people by meeting them where they are, by giving them what they need, by uplifting them into a place where they'll have the capacity to self-actualize and move on to understanding things at a level that is beyond immediately what's in front of them, and then being able to form a coalition that creates an actual new movement. Because right now, most people don't think that there's anything beyond Republicans and Democrats, and their primary concern is, how do I eat tomorrow? And if that's the average person that you're working with, that person who doesn't know that there's much of a person who thinks that the Democrat Party is filled with communists is not going to be a person who you can convince should be voting for a more nuanced foreign policy with regards to the interactions between the United Arab Emirates and Sudan. That person's going to say, what's the United Arab Emirates? I've never heard of that before. That's what their response is going to be to that. So, like, what I'm getting at is, it is important. It is important to know about these things. It's important to know what's going on. It's important to know why it's happening. It's important to be able to make those connections. Don't put your head in the sand. Don't tell people, oh, it's all okay, and we can throw our hands in the air and we have no responsibility with regards to, you know, whatever genocide. But the prevailing thing I'm seeing right now is creators flailing around and telling people that they must talk about this thing, and if they don't, they're terrible, and like it's everyone's duty to donate money or whatever. People aren't going to be able to afford food tomorrow. Like, I don't know what you're expecting from people. I just don't. Aside from like, it sucks, right? Like, it fucking sucks that there are going to be people who will hear, hi, there is there is a massive escalation in a horrific attack on humanity going on across the entire world. And I know I've been talking about a different attack on humanity across the entire world, but this one also deserves your attention. And if you don't throw your entire life behind this thing right now, then you're evil. It sucks that, like, you can't take people and rely on their inherent empathy to come to a common conclusion. But to be upset at people for not doing something, and then they don't do something, and so you get upset at them, is not a strategy that fucking matters. Like, that's not a thing that's gonna work. It sucks to acknowledge and accept the reality that people need to be babied. They need to be coddled. You need to take a middle-aged white person, and you gotta explain to them, you have to fucking gentle parent their way into realizing that what they think of as not being racist is just racism rejiggered so that they don't feel bad about it. And, like, that is a hard enough step to take. And it fucking sucked, and it's exhausting. And this is why I say it's not our job. Because, like, not everyone has to go out and do this all the time. We need to fucking take turns. We need to be able to say, like, you know what? I have spent however long trying to convince people in my life to give a shit about the genocide in Gaza, and that means that I have essentially spent however long consuming egregious material and trying to plead to the humanity of the people in my life and getting nothing back from it, that is traumatizing as hell, and you need a break. Stopping when it's not, when it's like, you know, you're spinning your wheels and you're grinding yourself into a pulp, like the last thing you want to do is lose your own capacity for caring. And that is a thing that happens. And like, no one should be allowed, no one should tell you that losing your capacity for caring or you know, compassion fatigue or whatever, that is not a moral failing on your part. That is a human function. It is because your nervous system needs to do something else, and you need to take care of yourself so that your brain can function normally. But we don't have the luxury of being able to step away because we are living in an era where a genocide happening in Sudan is happening on your phone. It's happening on your TV screen. It's happening on your computer. It's happening right here in this stream as I'm talking about it. There's no detaching. So unless you make a point to step away and take the fuck care of yourself, it's only going to get worse. And it's such a self-fulfilling prophecy of you're not able to keep up with anything. It's making you feel terrible. And the only thing that you can do is complain about how terrible it all is. And so you just have despair. And so you just fall into a nothingness. Don't do that. Coming from me, someone who's been through this, don't do that. The average Western white person has lived in relative luxury and comfort for so long that they can imagine the end of the world easier than they can imagine the end of a capitalist system they live in. Bread and circuses, my friend, bread and circuses. The end of capitalism isn't a thing that people even thought was a concept, right? Like, we very well may be living in the era where we begin to see a shift away from capitalism. I'm not saying that that's impossible. I don't think people think about the transition between economic systems, because why would they? If you've lived your whole life, if you're alive right now, you've lived your whole life in America under a very specific brand of capitalism. If you were born after Reagan, you've lived your whole life in America under a very specific brand of capitalism. And there's not really been any changing it. And it's only gotten more of that. I don't think people think about the fact that, like, eventually a system has to fail. Capitalism isn't meant to be the eternal system. We've had previous systems. We had monarchies, and then we had fiefdoms, and serfdoms, and what's the I'm forgetting the term for it. Long story short, we've had a whole bunch of different hierarchies and systems of economies. Capitalism is just the most recent one. When we no longer had lords and knights and kings and divine bloodlines and shit, and we started instead having industry titans and companies and corporations, and those were where the powers were, they rejiggered the economy such that the people in power held capital and resources rather than divinity. And that's not really benefiting us now. Maybe it was benefiting us when we didn't have the global infrastructure that we have now. But you're going to tell me that it makes sense in 2025 for a corporation to have ownership rights over natural resources and not the people of the land those resources are in? Those resources should belong to the people of that land. Moreover, those resources just belong to the land, and the people living there should be interacting with that land in such a way that's respectful and maintains the ecosystem. Hashtag land back. But given that that's probably not going to happen in our lifetime, the fact that corporations can own natural resources is just fucked. And is explicitly a function of capitalism. So a lot of people think like, the way the world works, the way life works is I get my paycheck, I use my money to buy things, and that's not going to change in our lifetime. But in terms of like how money is managed and who is uplifted, who's given what, I do think it's possible that we'll see a shift in our lifetime, because I think essentially because people cannot think outside of the framework of capitalism, that's why they voted for Donald Trump. People who are not tuned in to political theory, to the concepts of how the economy actually works, people who don't know what they're doing and don't think about a world outside of hyper capitalism and the direction that it's been going with, crypto schemes and AI just being way overinflated and creating an incredibly huge bubble. They only think about more money, more capitalism. And so they voted for Donald Trump in the hopes that he was going to somehow make people have more money by doing more capitalism at them. And I'm hoping that this moment is the most clear and direct example of how saying no to a progressive agenda so hard that you usher in the new Nazi era. I'm hoping those people will be like, oh, actually, you know what? Maybe trying something slightly different is a good idea. Maybe taxing corporations slightly more is a good idea. Maybe having healthcare not bankrupt people is a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't have an entire generation so strapped with debt that they can't do anything with their money. Maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe that's a bad position for us to be in. Maybe the trendward down of our average lifespan in this country, maybe the fact that like people are spiking in depression and anxiety, maybe all of those things are indicators that whatever the structure of our country is, we don't need more of it. We need something else. One can only hope. I'm tired of ads in my social spaces. I'm tired of my health deteriorating, and I'm tired of not being able to afford basic necessities. It's this. This is not supposed to be how it is. Like, this doesn't have to be like this. And it's getting worse. Food is less accessible. Food. We already have food accessibility issues in the United States of America. Food deserts are a thing. And now food is harder to get. And like, we have fewer rights. We can't afford things. People can't afford houses. Rent's too fucking high. There's nowhere in this country that you can have a 2-bedroom apartment while working a full-time job by yourself. Like, it's just not a thing. And for whatever reason, the concept of a 2-bedroom apartment has become a luxury. The concept of a full-time worker having a 2-bedroom apartment is considered luxurious in the United States of America now. It is considered a luxury. It is the rhetoric is such that you don't deserve that. You have to split your rent with another full-time employee to have a place to live at all. You don't deserve food unless you have a higher paying job, and then you can get food that's somewhat okay. You've got people out there talking about how like food stamps and SNAP benefits shouldn't be able to be used to buy things like meat and sweets. I talked plenty last time about school lunch debt in America and how there's billions of dollars of school lunch debt owed by students in elementary schools to pay for their school lunch because their family can't afford it, and so they take on debt in grade school to the state. So yeah, like, I think what I'm getting at here is neither of the major political parties are interested in undoing capitalism. The Democrats could have a trifecta. Democrats could have the exact same ownership over the federal government that the Republicans currently have, and they would do fuck all with it. They would not enshrine abortion rights, and they would not make universal health care. They would not do universal child pay or paid child leave or maternity leave. They just wouldn't. There's no political reason for them to do that. All of those things have been very successful campaign points for them. The second that they fix those problems, people are going to vote in the Republicans, and those problems are going to get fucking destroyed again. But people are going to think, oh, these problems have been solved. Now I want more money, which the Republicans have done a very good job of somehow creating the illusion that Republicans are good for the economy, even though never anywhere has that been the case. Like, that's just not the case. And it's like so empirically understood that it's not the case, that Republicans destroy the economy every fucking time. So unfortunately, neither of the main political parties are actually going to fucking do anything, but that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like people realizing that we need to do to the Democratic Party what MAGA has done to the Republican Party. MAGA has taken over the Republican Party and bent it to its will. There is a whole ass cult that has taken over one of the two main political parties. I fucking remember when, like the day after the election, I posted a video on YouTube that was like, so a cult just won every federal government branch. What happens next? And I got people in my comments being like, saying it's a cult is a bit much. This is why people don't like liberals, is because you just keep saying that everyone you don't like is in a cult. My fucking guy, it's a cult. It's just a cult. Like, there's no questions about it being a fucking cult. But that cult has successfully taken over one of the two main political parties in America. The Democrats are useless and don't fucking do anything. Also, Deepwater at 12 months. What's the roll? Got a crit. Got a crit. What are we getting? 151 for a year of subs. Thank you so much. The Dems are useless and won't do anything. And even if they're in power in the form that they are today, they're not going to fucking do anything. They want to go right back to trying to make things how they were so they can go back to not really delivering anything of value. I think the vibes are shifting. I think as people get truly fed up with billionaires, the fact that the Democrats are essentially just a political party for billionaires will be their downfall. MAGA took over the GOP because the GOP was having a bit of an identity crisis, and like the Tea Party was already being somewhat successful, and moderate conservatives were already not really having a good time landing. Romney lost against Obama, and Romney was a moderate conservative, and Obama was a black man, which is completely unacceptable to have as a president if you're a Republican. So they used that moment to basically say the current GOP is feckless, and we are going to take it over, and that's why we have Donald Trump. We need that to happen with like Mamdani and the Dems. Like the Democrat establishment and the fucking Republicans, elected Republicans, are trying to talk about Mamdani like he is this antichrist, like he is this like the scariest thing that's ever happened to this country. They're trying to talk about Mamdani as if he's going to just set fire to New York City. They're calling him a communist. They're saying that he's gonna like kill the Jews or whatever. It's crazy. It doesn't mesh with reality whatsoever. You can't listen to what they're saying and then see that guy's face and see him smiling and be like, yeah, that's the face of evil right there. So I think what we'll see, and we've been seeing a little bit of this, right? Like we saw Hakeem Jeffries tried as hard as he could to get Cuomo to be the one that was on top in the New York mayor race. And like, yes, it's not in the bag yet. If you're in New York, go vote, please. But assuming that Mamdani wins in New York, the Democrats tried as much as they could to not endorse him. They wanted Cuomo to win because they didn't want Mamdani to win, because Mamdani's platform is terrifying to them, because he's progressive, because he's loudly progressive, and he won't not say that. When people call him a socialist, he says, yeah, that's where I'm pulling my inspiration, and I'm not ashamed of that. Because look at how people are reacting to these ideas. People want something new. The Democrats don't want to do something new because they are beholden to their donors, and their donors pay them money to be a purported opposition party to the GOP, but in reality do as little as possible to maintain the interests of the donors, who are all billionaires. Which is why, despite Mamdani bringing out record-breaking early voting numbers, right after the Democrats lost one of the most embarrassing elections in US history, they didn't say, holy shit, we've been handed a silver platter. They instead tried to get a sex pest, disgraced politician who was ejected from his position to take over instead of the young upstart that everyone was rallying behind. So they already fucking lost that election because they lost it to Zoran. And then there was a clip recently at a rally with Zoran where the current governor of New York was giving a speech, and the entire audience just started cheering, "Tax the rich." Like, they didn't let her get her fucking words out because despite the fact that she was there ostensibly to endorse Mamdani, she was only doing it because she had to. And the audience knew that. And so the audience made it clear, you know what? We know that you are the exact kind of politician that we don't want anymore. And so we're going to make sure that you can't not hear what we want, which is tax the rich. So like, we watched as a establishment Democrat sat on stage with a crowd of like 60,000 people chanting "tax the rich." And like, it is, I think that is what I'm thinking about with like, we can essentially do to the Democrat Party what MAGA did to the Republicans. Like a progressive coalition could embarrass the Democrats into handing the narrative of the party over to them. Because what they're doing, the longer that they try to claim that the average American doesn't want a progressive agenda, the harder it's going to be for any of them to maintain their positions. Because the average American does want a progressive agenda. All of those concepts on a generic progressive agenda are wildly popular when they are polled. It's just once you put a name on them and once you associate them with a party, that's when people start to be like, oh, well, now I'm spooked. Now I'm scared. Now I'm scared because I didn't know that it was going to be potentially a socialist thing. It's like, yeah, I want universal healthcare, and I want people to be able to afford food, and I want companies to be regulated. I want clean air. I want my electricity bill to not be constantly fucking spiking. I want billionaires to be held accountable when they pollute entire towns. Oh, wait, but if I did that, I would have to vote for a person who is slightly aligned with ideals of forward-thinking people. Well, can't have that. Can't have that. What's up, dude? First time on your stream after seeing your YouTube videos. Wondering what your thoughts are on more states either allowing or considering allowing terminally ill patients to receive physician-assisted death. While knowing that there is a non-zero amount of potential damage that it does to severely disabled people who could find themselves in a situation where somebody who has like power of attorney over them could like advocate for doctor-assisted suicide, I think with a huge caveat there, right? With a huge caveat of there needs to be protection in place such that it is explicitly for people who are of sound mind and body making their own decision with no external forces whatsoever. In that scenario, I think that it is a thing that we need. I think that people should be allowed to choose to safely medically end their life with the assistance of a like trained official. But I also am not a policymaker, and this isn't, my opinion doesn't change anything. I just think that as somebody with my outlook, what I would personally like is a world in which my decision making is not impeded by a law that's predicated on religion. Like, I don't care if, like, legally, if someone kills themselves. I care that people aren't killing themselves because I don't want that to happen, because I want people to have uplifting and engaging lives. But I think if you're in a place where it's like, I truly think that I need to end this, that's the thing that I want, and I am of sound mind and body, great. Especially, like, I don't want to just sit around waiting to die. If I'm like contented with life, and I'm like finding myself at age 90 and I don't have the people in my life that I wish I still had, and I'm like sick and everything hurts and I'm just kind of waiting to die, yeah, I would like that option. Is Bernie too progressive? God, no. No, Bernie's, if anything, too conservative for me. No. Bernie's barely progressive. He like sort of somewhat dips his toe past the centrist line into left leaning. That's pretty much where Bernie is. It's just that in America, he is one of the most far left politicians in the public eye right now. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna get going because I gotta go take care of a few things before a Halloween event later this afternoon that I gotta get ready for. So I gotta get going. Thank you all so much for being here. I have things that I was really hoping to have ready for this stream that were not ready, but know that I'm cooking and I'm really excited to be able to share some interesting shit in the future. No idea how long that's going to take. I'm hoping sometime the next month. We'll see. Aside from that, new episode of Stuff Keeps Happening on Monday. I stream every Wednesday and Friday starting at 11 a.m. US Eastern. I have my gaming channel on YouTube where you can find my Minecraft Let's Play called Minecraft Sisyphus Edition, which comes out every other Wednesday and is me attempting to beat Minecraft on hardcore mode despite having never beaten Minecraft before. So it's a fun time. You can go check that out. New episode next Wednesday. Here's the dog. Let me give him some lovin's before I go. Praise. Now we've got cat ears. And with that, I bid y'all adieu, and I will see you on Monday. Take care. Be well. Bye-bye.